Hello and welcome to the Ice Guys. This is the show that takes you into the world of the National Hockey League. Every game, every day, from a betting perspective. With pro sports handicappers Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, and various guests from the world of hockey and sports betting. And now, here's your host, Ian Cameron.
Welcome to the Ice Guys, Tuesday, December 5th. Ian Cameron, Alex B. Smith, ready to break down the Tuesday NHL card. Great slate coming up tonight for this Tuesday. 8 games on tap. Maybe not as many games as normal, but we've got some interesting matchups for sure, and looking forward to getting into the Tuesday analysis as usual. Alex, I'll let you lead off with this because you were excited about it and said big news. I'm all ears. What big news have you got? And it's apparently regarding one of the sports books that you bet at the most that's finally getting to the way they should have been all along.
Yeah, shout out to my mom. Definitely got to give her credit because she gave me those great life lessons as a kid that always ask. The worst thing anyone can say is no. So whenever, something you want to look for, ask around to see if you can find it. And Bet Online delivered after months of not being able to find the next goal prop, live betting, and both teams to score. Both of those things will be added tomorrow. I was messaged by shout out to Adam Burns and Dave Mason, both of them at Bet Online, messaged me and said that those props will be available at Bet Online starting tomorrow and throughout the rest of the year for the NHL. So that's humongous, especially for the Betcast we got coming up next week. Now we'll be able to bet some of these next goal to score props that some of you have been remembering from some of the Betcasts and seasons before.
Absolutely, 100%. That's great news. Bet Online, a lot of people I know, you rely on that book, use it as one of their primary sports book options. So the fact that they're getting back those primary significant live betting derivative markets again, they should have it. And it's exactly great. And it's great to see them getting those offerings back again for those people that are going to be betting live, which will be including, as Alex mentioned, next Tuesday, our live Betcast. We want to mention that one more time before we get into the recap of Monday night and the Tuesday games. Tuesday, December the 12th. So it's basically a week from tonight. Is our next live Betcast. There it is on the screen right there. Make sure you join us again. DM either Alex or I or email, and we will send you the StreamYard link for the Betcast. This is our main Betcast for the month of December. So it's next Tuesday, December the 12th. Obviously, we're having it earlier in the month because of the fact we don't want to screw around with the Christmas holiday season. Everyone's busy, family shit, stuff like that going on. So that's why we aren't waiting around. We're going to have it on Tuesday, December the 12th, 7 p.m. Eastern, a week from tonight, our next Ice Guys live Betcast for the month of December. All right, quickly on last night, because we want to get into Tuesday's games, but just briefly on the card last night. Credit to the Philadelphia Flyers. 2 wins in a row for them over the Pittsburgh Penguins, 2-1 in overtime. We cashed the draw in that. 2 draw bets, in fact, for me, cashed in last night in NHL action. This was one of them, the Penguins and the Flyers going to overtime, Flyers getting the job done. And right now, I'm going to say it. This is an absolute joke and travesty what's happening to the Penguins offense. That was not supposed to be something we were concerned about with Pittsburgh coming into this season. We thought their strength was going to be scoring goals. We thought their strength was going to be lighting it up on the power play. And they have just not done enough of that consistently lately. This power play being 30th in the NHL right now is an absolute disgrace considering the personnel that this team has on it. That power play is not any better. You go out getting Erik Karlsson in the offseason in a trade with San Jose, and you don't have a better stinking power play than that, 30th in the NHL. Absolutely abysmal stuff. And look, without the offense, this is not a team that's going to win hockey games because they're not going to consistently be able to defend every night. You don't know always what you're going to get from the goaltending of Jari, Nedeljkovic, or whoever else they put in net, Hellberg, whoever it is. So the fact that their offense is drying up, it's bad news for the Pittsburgh Penguins, and they lose back-to-back to the Philadelphia Flyers last night. It's just awful, the Pittsburgh power play. Pittsburgh was supposed to be fine with the power play this year with what they have, and it just hasn't been the case for them. We saw Winnipeg with a nice 2-1 win against Carolina. Wow. And credit to the Laurent Brossoit for a 42 save performance in that victory last night for the Winnipeg Jets. They got timely scoring. Again, the goaltending was exceptional from Brossoit, who gave Connor Hellebuck a rare night off last night, and Carolina just couldn't convert. They played a pretty tight defensive game as well, which I figured they would be looking to do with Antti Raanta in net, coming off the 8 goals on 14 shots that he allowed against Tampa Bay in his last start, but not enough. They couldn't dent the Winnipeg net, and the Jets get a nice 2-1 victory there. Montreal continues the tailspin for the Seattle Kraken, 4-2 for the Canadians. In that one, we get a push with the best bet on the show for me with the Kraken and the Canadians over 6. But yeah, Seattle's just in a really bad way right now. Can't get out of their own way. Not getting enough timely scoring. Power play has been kind of up and down for them. And more importantly, their defensive game has completely gone in the tank. I mean, they are not keeping the puck out of their own net. Their penalty kill hasn't been good. Grubauer is back to struggling a little bit in between the pipes for them. So it's been just a rough stretch for the Seattle Kraken. And they need to turn things around. Will they? Is the big question. How about the Blues? St. Louis, a 2-1 win in overtime against Vegas last night. There's another draw. I did sprinkle on that. Not a big bet, that one, but I did sprinkle a little bit on the draw in that Blues Golden Knights game, and that's what Vegas can do sometimes. They sometimes can get lulled to sleep at times, and I think that game kind of did that by the Blues last night. It was certainly a better performance in net from Binnington, who's been up and down lately. If you look at Vegas, though, last night, just not one of their better performances overall, in fact. So, yes, Binnington was good, but, you could tell that the execution, was one of those nights where you can tell when a team is disjointed, not at bringing their A game, when the tape-to-tape passes just aren't clicking. And I think we saw that for most of the game last night. Just the offensive execution, movement of the puck was just not all that crisp, not all that sharp from Vegas last night. They lose 2-1 in overtime to St. Louis. How about those Arizona Coyotes? 6-0 beat down on the Washington Capitals, and everybody obviously aware now that 5-game win streak, all of them coming against the most recent 5 defending Stanley Cup champions. Very impressive run put together, and it's a combination of everything. They're getting the goals, they're getting the offense. Michael Carcone is one of the best goal props known to man right now. It just keeps on cashing. The guy's got 12 goals now on the season for the Arizona Coyotes, and what's crazy is he hasn't even been on their top 6 forward group. They've had him on the third line all season long, and he has 12 goals for this Arizona team. He's been awesome, plus 470, cashing in with his goal prop last night. I was that close to making Carcone bargain bin special of the night last night over Cartier, and unfortunately I went with Cartier and he didn't score, and Seattle only scored 2 as a team, but nevertheless Carcone was a really good look, and he gets finds the back of the net. Clayton Keller with, I believe, 4 points last night, all of them assists. He was really good. Logan Cooley, the first-round pick, steps up, gets them on the board, and the first goal of the night last night. So absolutely terrific. They're rolling right now, feeling it, playing well at that little bandbox building, Mullet Arena. Absolutely terrific stuff for the Arizona Coyotes. And Connor Ingram, the number 1 star last week in the NHL, star of the week, number 1 star of the week. Sometimes when you have that award, that moniker, that distinction, sometimes when you just get that recognition, you sometimes shit the bed and you don't play well that first game. That was not the case. He was just as sharp as and dialed in as he's been in his recent starts, getting that shutout for the Arizona Coyotes. But we did mention Washington. That was a tough spot, end of a road trip. Who the hell knows what they were doing between the Vegas to Arizona flight? And parties can go on, and Eddie Lack has talked to me about this in the past, someone that's residing in Arizona. It's amazing how many team party functions and team party events these teams plan and prepare for when they're going to Arizona, and in between that Vegas to Arizona commute when they're on that road trip. So maybe Washington had a little fun too in between the Golden Knights and the Coyotes game, because it certainly looked like it, the way they got ambushed in that first period last night by the Arizona Coyotes. I want to wrap up with the Tampa game. I'll give them credit. Bounce back just when you think, hey, is Tampa Bay falling apart? They've still got those nights where they can reel it in, play a good game. Everybody was on board. The big guns were good. The defensive focus was much better, as good as it's been. And Andre Vasilevskiy with a bounce back as well. 25 save shutout in a 4-0 win. And such a great win, by the way, Tampa Bay Lightning last night, that I don't know if it was Vasilevskiy or if it was one of the reporters that was asking him questions in the postgame. A celebratory fart and a celebratory display of flatulence apparently occurred in the postgame last night with the Tampa Bay Lightning in Andrei Vasilevskiy's post-game press conference. So we'll just bring up the clip here right now for everyone. Now, again, this is going to be something you'll be able to see if you're watching on YouTube and hear it on the podcast. But this is Andrei Vasilevskiy's post-game press conference last night. Here it is.
In the last 48 hours from the end of the game on Saturday to the start of this one?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it wasn't great feeling last game, but what was the question? Mindset. Yeah. So it just sorry. I mean, I was just.
There it is. So basically, there you go. Someone just couldn't contain themselves, couldn't hold it in right there. Now the question is, was that Vasi ripping sheds there, or was that one of the reporters asking questions there of Andrei Vasilevskiy? That's the question. You know, it's funny because he was talking about how bad he was in the game in Dallas Saturday night. You know, it wasn't very good, and that's the moment the fart happened. So it's almost like, that fart stunk just as much as Vasi's performance on Saturday in Dallas in that 8-1 beatdown. So I think the timing of it, it was just perfect. But funny shit there with Vasi in the post game last night. Alex, thoughts on last night?
Yeah, I mean, I'll just quickly start with that game. And obviously goalies, you know, what they all go through with playing 60 minutes straight. I'm sure there's a lot of bodily just everything that kind of releases when they get in the locker room. But that's pretty funny and a great win for him. We called him out yesterday, and he stepped up and delivered just like he has done in many times off of a loss. We saw vintage Vasilevskiy, and that's a good sign. It's a great sign for the Lightning team and their fans, certainly, because they will need him to play like that pretty much over half of the season if they want to really get another run toward the playoffs this year. So that's a big win for them. Another kind of tough ho-hum loss for Dallas. This has been a real schizophrenic team so far. We've seen them with some fantastic performances, and then we've seen them with some clunkers back and forth. So that's something to keep an eye on. It's probably a team to stay away from betting-wise as far as sides go for about another week or so. And it's a team, as much as I've liked them, as much as I like Jake Ottinger, they just aren't at their best form consistently right now. The Arizona Coyotes, I'm rocking the old Yotes alternate today because that was a huge win. It's the only win I had, unfortunately. Everything else that I had completely shit the bed, like Vasilevskiy. But this is definitely a huge win for Arizona. And maybe we have to start looking at – we talked about the Vegas flu at the beginning of the Golden Knights run, but maybe this is the Tempe hangover because, like you're mentioning, people and teams that have their parties and functions, they're not doing it in Vegas where there's a million people and all these cameras and you never know where, you do something stupid and it gets on TMZ. In Arizona, there's not that much exposure, tons of nightclubs, tons of bars, tons of golf courses, and they may party a little bit more in Arizona than Vegas. And then we see the sluggish efforts. Think about the Hawks going back with their rookie party. We saw that effort. It was a bad effort in Arizona. They actually ended up winning in overtime in Vegas. So that's something to keep a note on as far as that location and looking at Connor Ingram and the Yotes. We got it back, Connor Ingram. Now he went from being a fade in Nashville 2.5 years ago to now a goaltender that we're backing every time we're seeing start. So that's an incredible story that he's been so far. Certainly looking like he could possibly be one of those all-star picks in another month or so for the Pacific Division. And other games to look at, Seattle and Montreal. I didn't get to watch too much of that, but another just embarrassing performance by my opinion in Seattle. This is a team that should be playing way better hockey and for some reason just can't get it together. And maybe we talk about player regression all the time. Maybe we're seeing coaching regression. We saw open offense from Dave Haxtell last year. That's something that we hadn't seen from him in his coaching style. We thought maybe he's adapting and evolving to the modern style. It seems like now there's not really consistency on either end, offense or defense. And they're doing the shift like an Islanders team. Whenever they have this great defensive effort, the offense suffers. Whenever they put forth a bunch of offense, then they lose 7-6. So they got to find some consistency, and maybe it's not just all with the players. Maybe the coaching's got to change some things as well.
Sounds like Mike Yeo. That's what it sounds like. Yeah, Mike Yeo. Absolutely. He had those issues when he coached. Yeah, we try to focus on defense, and we're losing 2-1. And then we try to focus on offense, and we're losing 6-5, and we're still losing. We're losing either way. We can't figure out the nice, healthy balance, offense and defense. And you're right. There's a little bit of that right now with the Seattle Kraken. Yeah, they're having a tough time. And it's been a massive, massive disappointment considering I think we expected them to, be able to at least somewhat not totally duplicate last year, but not be to the point where, look, totally fallen off and to the point where, playoffs are very much in question right now for the Seattle Kraken. They are going to have to put together, a serious run in order to get back into things. So we will see if they can get that run together, but seeing no sign and evidence of it right now.
They will have to be basically St. Louis 2018-19. They would need that kind of a run at this point. And there's quite a few teams that are in that spot that could make that run. And there's one team that I'll talk about that might be not necessarily good enough to make a run in the playoffs, but the rest of that division might be bad enough to where they find themselves finding a way to get in there. So I'll talk about that a little bit later.
Yeah, no doubt. So we'll see how that goes. All right, we got the Tuesday NHL card to get into. We will begin in Canada's nation's capital, the New York Rangers and the Ottawa Senators. Rangers -140 road favorites, 6.5 the total here, shaded to the under in this one. The Rangers coming off not their best effort at all by far against San Jose, 6-5 as they actually had a pretty good lead in the third and almost let it slip away, but it was definitely a very sloppy game from the Rangers, but they found a way to survive against San Jose, 6-5 victory on Sunday night. So that's their third straight win, 6-1 for the Rangers, their last 7 games. Obviously, they have been pretty consistent in that they have just done a great job at avoiding the extended losing streak. They haven't had one this year at all, 18-5 coming into this game tonight against the Ottawa Senators. So they have played quite well, the Rangers. We'll see if they can keep things rolling here against an Ottawa team that we know that there's definitely a head coach in DJ Smith on the hot seat right now, a team that's been very mediocre this year. I think 9-10, which is their record. It's the perfect indication of what the Senators have been this year, just up and down, not able to string a massive streak together. They lost 3 in a row against the Islanders and the Panthers and the Blue Jackets, but they did bounce back to shut out the Seattle Kraken 2-0. On Saturday night. But if you watch, obviously, what we just talked about with Seattle, you watch the way they're playing lately, how impressive truly is that win for the Ottawa Senators, even though it was a much-needed one to snap that 3-game losing streak. Well, this is going to be obviously a much taller order, a tougher challenge for them tonight here as they take on the New York Rangers, who are playing some really good hockey. And what's impressive, too, right now about the for the New York Rangers is, they're starting to get contributions from a bunch of different sources on a nightly basis. It's not always Panarin and Kreider and Zibanejad. Lafreniere's had a bounce back here. Look at what Jimmy Vesey down the lineup, who's not even playing in the top 6 forward group right now, has done for the Rangers this year. He's been very, very solid. 2 goals in the last 5 games. He has 5 goals, 3 assists, 8 points on the season. And again, you're talking about someone that's bounced around, highly touted college prospect many years ago, 30 years old now, and actually playing some of his best hockey in recent years. Keep in mind, this is a guy that's been bounced around. He's been in so many different organizations in the past, Jimmy Vesey. Boston and Buffalo and Toronto for a bit, and he's just been on and on with different organizations. But, to be able to see him playing this well is good. I like what I've seen, too, from Johnny Brodzinski since he's been called up as well. Keep in mind, they're without Hedl and Kakko up front, a couple of key injuries on the forward group for the Rangers. So, to be able to get contributions from your Jimmy Veseys of the world and your Johnny Brodzinskis as well, definitely it's been a good thing to see for the New York Rangers, no question about that. And like I said, with Brodzinski, he's come into the lineup, and in the last 2 games, he's got a pair of assists in each of the last 2 against Nashville and San Jose. So he's playing well at the moment. This is a game I'm actually off. Ottawa is in that position right now where they're in that kind of spot I like to back teams, quite honestly, where they're going through a bad run, they snap the losing streak, and sometimes that's a positive momentum stepper that you can use it to turn things in the right direction. Now, they have played the Rangers actually very well. They've won the last 2 meetings. Those were both in New York, though, at Madison Square Garden. This has oddly been, for the last few meetings, a road-dominated series. So the Rangers have won 3 straight meetings here in Ottawa between these two teams. So, yeah, this is a game for me right now at the current numbers. It's a pass. Ottawa, they're in that spot where, I like that positive momentum boost spot of snapping a losing streak. And sometimes I want to back teams following a win where they snap a losing streak. But at the same time, you beat Seattle. Good for you. You got to show you can do it against a much better hockey team. And the Rangers are a much better hockey team. So pass for me. What do you think here, Alex? Rangers, Senators.
Yeah, I tried to make a case for the draw here, but this doesn't seem as even as this line suggests. So if I had to play a side, I would lean toward Rangers. But this is one I'm going to be going the first period over. So it's kind of a half unit play, grabbing 140 now and maybe try to grab a little bit more in game at a plus price. But I think we can see some goals here back and forth early. But I think the Rangers should be able to win this one. Ottawa, like I said, stepping up in class a little bit. I think this might be a little too tall of a task to order. But Rangers, like I said, on the road, we've seen them play some games where it's a little bit off. So we never know.
Right, good stuff indeed. Yeah, as far as the injury situations are concerned, Shabbat is out for Ottawa. That is unfortunate. Lower body injury. He's something he sustained on Saturday night in the game against Seattle. This is just becoming at the point where it's maddening. It's sad if you're a Senator fan. It's sad if you're the GM or in the front office or in the coaching staff. It's starting to get the look of damaged goods. Thomas Chabot, and just an inability to stay on the ice for an extended period of time. So he just gets back for 2 games against Columbus and Seattle. And here we go again, leg injury, lower body injury, and out at least for tonight against the New York Rangers. So unfortunate, because we know what a hell of a player he is when he's healthy, and he's just unfortunately just devoid of being able to avoid these injuries that force him into missing significant time for the Ottawa Senators right now. Stützle's in. Stützle is playing tonight. Someone was asking that in the chat. Shesterkin in net for the Rangers. Not confirmed, but you would think they got to go back to Anton Forsberg. I'm sure they have to reward him for a great shutout performance against Seattle on Saturday night. So I would expect Anton Forsberg to be right back in between the pipes here for the Ottawa Senators. In this
he is
game.
Confirmed. I'm just looking at
there
it
you
now.
go.
Goalie post.
All right, yeah, Anton Forsberg, and he played well. We'll see if he can keep that going. LA Kings, Columbus Blue Jackets. We've got the Kings minus 210, road favorites, 6 the total here in this game. The LA Kings, who have now moved into number 1 in my Western Conference power ratings. The Rangers are number 1 overall in the East and overall, but the Kings are right behind them right now at number 2. And I'll tell you what, the LA Kings, what a great win that was against Colorado, and dominant, 38-21 shots on goal, and the majority of that dominance came later in the game. I think you could say a product of that, too, might have been Colorado on a back-to-back, probably ran out of gas, fatigued a little bit later in the game. But there's no doubt they're playing some awesome hockey at this point in time. They've won 6 of their last 7 games, 6-1 their last 7. The only loss was a game where Charlie Lindgren turned into Grant Fuhr for one night and absolutely robbed the LA Kings and stole 2 points from them. Other than that, you'd be looking at a 7-0 team right now in their last 7 games. Columbus has played better, though. Their last 7 games, they're 4-3, a winning record. They've alternated wins and losses of late. Beat New Jersey, lose a tough one at Carolina where they had a 2-0 lead, couldn't hold it. Beat Boston at home 5-2. Lost to Montreal at home 4-2. Bounced back with a 4-2 win against Ottawa. Merzlikins has been playing a lot better lately. And then they lose to Boston 3-1 in Boston over the weekend. Again, the Bruins kind of in a revenge spot, too, after losing in Columbus earlier in the week. As far as this game goes, Phoenix Copley confirmed in net, and I'm not shocked by that. He needs to eventually get in there, and you've got to see and evaluate if you're Todd McClellan and the coaching staff. Can this guy find his game again, find his form again? Because this was a goaltender for the LA Kings that honestly got their season going in the right direction last year when he was called up from the AHL. Jonathan Quick was struggling. He eventually gets traded. Cal Peterson had a brutal start to the year last year, and he is no longer with the organization. It was Phoenix Copley who came in there and steadied the ship for the LA Kings last year. Unfortunately, this year's edition of Phoenix Copley, it's been rough. There's no question. He has had a really tough start to the year. And he is going to have to show this organization, front office especially, he can get his form back. We'll see if he's able to. The good news for Phoenix Copley here coming into this game is that the last 2 starts have been a step in the right direction for him. He gave up 1 goal on 31 shots against Arizona, November the 20th. And then his last start was a home shutout win against Montreal, 4-0. Only faced 18 shots, but still ended up getting a shutout. So that's back-to-back steps in the right direction for Phoenix Copley as far as trying to get his form back in between the pipes after just a dreadful first month or so of the season. That's a good sign for the LA Kings going into this game. It'll be an interesting matchup here because, Columbus at home has been a tricky little team lately. LA has been awesome on the road. I'll say that right now. Even with my concerns about Copley, I will not be going against LA on the road. I can't. 9-0 on the road. They have consistently found a way to get the job done. The only thing I have in this game is I do think this could be a tougher game for the Kings than you would expect. They're starting on the road, starting Copley in Columbus, coming off a big win against Colorado. And with Columbus, you look at their home efforts lately, the Boston win, Ottawa win. They've played good on home ice of late. In fact, they've won 3 of their last 4 at home. You look at series history with Columbus and LA, the last 2 meetings in Columbus with these 2 teams, and the last 3, in fact, have all gone past regulation. So I like the draw. I'm going to take a shot here. Kings Blue Jackets draw. 3 straight meetings in CBJ between LA and Columbus have gone to overtime. So, yeah, give me the draw. I'll take a shot. I think that Columbus makes LA work. Don't know if they've got what it takes to win, but I think they make LA work, and we have a chance here for a game that goes past regulation. What do you think here, Alex? Kings, Blue Jackets.
Yeah, there's no way we can fade the Kings, like you said, on this great run. They're trying to tie the 2009 to 2010, the New Jersey Devils for the best road opening to a season. There would be 10 straight road wins to open the year, so that would be tying the record. Somebody mentioned that in chat earlier, but I'm with you on the draw. I would definitely be taking a shot with that. Like I said, I think that, it's going to get tougher.
At FanDuel, by the way.
Yeah, so I'll be grabbing the draw, but I also grabbed over 6 as well. I was seeing 6.5, so now I'm seeing a few more 6s. So definitely want to shop around for that. But I might even take a shot here, and I'm trying to look up the price. 3-3 regulation for correct score as well. That would give me the draw. That would also give us the overtime. So that's something I would sprinkle on. So I'm going to search and look for the best price, and I'll mention that a little bit later. But that's something I'm going to come back to. 3-3 correct score in Kings Jackets in regulation.
All right, good stuff. Liking the draw, liking the over a little bit. The total's really tough for me because the Kings have been under machines on the road. That's a big reason why they're 9-0. They have shut it down and shut down opposing teams on the road all season. But with Copley in net, you're obviously not nearly as confident with him compared to Talbot in net. And Columbus is one of those teams that, lately we've seen some goals from the Jackets, especially on home ice. Scored 4 against Ottawa, 5 against Boston in 2 of their last 3 home games. So we'll see how it fares. The total's tricky for me, but you're right. I kind of lean over as well, just based on the fact that, we've got Copley as opposed to a Talbot in net, and Columbus has been an uptick in scoring. I think there's some good prop options here for LA. Quentin Byfield for LA. No doubt Trevor Moore, those 2 in particular stand out for me going into this game. Quentin Byfield in particular is really starting to get his game together, playing on that top line. And then there's a lot of good options here on the Columbus side. Now, again, the Kings can be stingy. They've been very good defensively on the road, so don't hammer the Columbus player props, but we've got Justin Danforth moving up to the top line for Columbus tonight with Boone Jenner and Johnny Gaudreau. And Justin Danforth, a player that I think is very capable of maybe contributing now that he's got this opportunity. And then, like I say, the Russian trio, with Shinnikov, Voronkov, and Marchenko. They have been very good. So absolutely, I like those looks for Columbus tonight as far as props, with Justin Danforth moving up to the top line. And again, those 3 Russians for the Jackets that have been very, very solid as of late. All right, next up, we've got
one thing. At FanDuel for that 3-3 correct score. You can get that at FanDuel in regulation. Tie 3-3 plus 1,300.
Wow. There's a big price, 13-1 on that, 3-3 at the end of regulation for the Blue Jackets and the Kings tonight. So definitely, Alex saying that's worth a look at that. 13-1, certainly a great price with that. All right, New York Islanders hosting the San Jose Sharks. The Islanders minus 300 home favorites, 5.5 being the total here in this game. The New York Islanders, not a team that I have any interest in this kind of price range, none whatsoever. Now, credit to them. After that brutal run, losing games left and right, blowing leads, they won the final game of that long road trip they had in Calgary. And since that win, they have gone 5-2 in their last 7 games, the Islanders. So I'll give them credit. They've played better. They found ways to win. Still playing a lot of close games, 5-4 shootout win, 3-2 against Philly, 5-3 against Ottawa, losing a shootout to Philly, lose by 1 goal to New Jersey, blow that game when they had a lead, 5-4 in overtime against Carolina, 4-3 against Florida the other night. So they are playing just one close game after another. But I really think San Jose presses them tonight and gives them a really tough game. And I believe it or not, San Jose, you go back to the win against Vancouver, 3-2 in their last 5 games. And the 2 losses were at Boston, 3-0 in a pretty tough spot against the Bruins. I think it was a back-to-back as well for San Jose. And then 6-5 right in that game start to finish. And every time the Rangers took the lead, San Jose responded. So we're seeing, and finally we're seeing some offense from the San Jose Sharks on the road, which is definitely, I think, something that David Quinn, the head coach, has been just chomping at the bit to see his team finally start to put the damn puck in the net, especially away from the Shark Tank. And they have finally started to do that here. The last couple of games on this road trip, they've suddenly exploded here. 11 goals in the last 2 games for the San Jose Sharks. Meanwhile, this Islanders team, we've talked about how this year it's not that same shutdown defense. Ilya Sorokin, his game has been negatively impacted by it as well. He hasn't been shutting the door by any stretch of the imagination, but it's more of a product of they're not as good and not as tight defensively. They're way more loose defensively as a team this year, the New York Islanders. Their games have gone over in 3 straight, 4 of the last 5, and 7-2 to the over in their last 9 games. This 5.5, I am jumping on over 5.5 here with the Sharks and the Islanders. We've seen San Jose start to come to life offensively. You're only getting 5.5. This is definitely a reputation, not reality total, with it being lined at 5.5. Reputation that the Islanders are absolutely abysmal, offensively, and reputation that they're great defensively. Neither is true right now. Islanders are scoring right now. Islanders are giving up goals right now. And it's been that way now for weeks. Meanwhile, San Jose has finally started to see the red light come on the road, starting to get some offensive flow and chemistry and confidence again. Like I said, 11 goals now in the last 2 road games combined against the Rangers and the Devils. That is a good sign. So I like over 5.5 here, minus 120. And I'm also going to go with the dog and draw split here. I'm not buying the Islanders in this price range. Give me San Jose here, plus 250, and also give me a piece of the draw here. The Islanders, even the games, Alex, that are just barely missing going to overtime, they're right there in terms of getting to overtime in all these games. Even the games that haven't gone to overtime. Look at a 1-goal regulation win against Florida. The 1-goal regulation loss against New Jersey. 3-2 win against Philly. And then other than that, we have seen 1, 2, 3, 5 of the last 9 Islander games go past regulation. And the ones that haven't have basically been this close, a whisker away from going to overtime. So 3 bets for me on this game. Over 5.5, minus 120. Islanders at the big dog shot, plus 250. And the draw at FanDuel in this game is plus 430. How about that for a price? Plus 430 for Sharks Islanders draw. Definitely liking the value there with that in a game where definitely plausible to see potential for overtime here in this one. Alex, what do you think here in this one? Sharks, Islanders. I think we lost. I was just going to say Alex's connection there just for a moment got a little. I think we lost him for a second, but we'll get Alex back when he gets back online. We'll get him get his thoughts on the game. But Sharks draw and over 5.5. You know what? San Jose team total over. A couple people mentioning that in the chat. I don't mind that either. Maybe you take a look at these team totals with the Sharks right now, because San Jose's team total in this game, it's over 2.5, and it's like plus 142 at Pinnacle. So not only do you get 2.5, which is a very low number as far as team totals are concerned, not only do you get 2.5 with San Jose's team total, but you get a great plus price, plus 142 for the San Jose Sharks going into this game. So I think that's worth a sprinkle as well tonight. San Jose team total over 2.5 at a really nice plus 142 price. Detroit and Buffalo next up. We've got Detroit minus 130, road favorites, 6.5 the total here in this game. I'm definitely not betting Buffalo sides right now. That was basically when I saw that Nashville game, a game where I thought, coming off the debacle at Carolina, you're at home. It was a back-to-back for both teams, so the scheduling spot was a wash. Dylan Cousins kind of calls out the team after the Carolina game, and to have that kind of start, in the first period where you're down 2-0 and you struggle right away, I'm like, that's it. I'm divorcing from Buffalo Sabres bets for the time being after that Nashville game. And that's the way I feel here. Now, they are apparently going to get Tage Thompson back, and this is a shock to everybody. Nobody expected Tage Thompson back this quickly, but it looks like he will make his return from a 9-game injury absence for the Buffalo Sabres here tonight, activated from injured reserve after a lower body injury that, as I said, kept him out for the last 9 games. Obviously significant. We're not splitting the atom figuring out Buffalo's a better team with Tage Thompson back on the ice. But nevertheless, is he rushing it back? We'll have to wait and see. But I think if you're the Sabres, if this guy is telling you he's fine, it's on you to put him in the lineup, because you need all the help you can get right now offensively, which has actually been Buffalo's problem way more than expected this season. We know defensively and goaltending, it's been inconsistent. What we didn't expect from Buffalo was the concerns with goal scoring. And, there's been times where the offense has dried up for Buffalo. Look at the last 2 games. They score 3 against Nashville and Carolina combined. So that's been the concern, obviously, for the Buffalo Sabres during this recent skid that they've been on, 3 of the last 4. Detroit's obviously playing very well, 5-1 their last 6 games, coming off a 5-4 overtime win against Montreal. See if they can keep that rolling here in this game tonight against Buffalo. If you're on Buffalo here in this game, be thankful I'm passing on betting Buffalo, because it means those of you that are on Buffalo, you're probably going to cash your ticket tonight in this game. That's just the way it's been. Just the timing has been off right now with the Sabres. I am taking a break. Plus, this is someone that nobody expected him back. All of a sudden, he's on the ice in morning skate. Oh, here's Tage Thompson. I'm ready to go, coach. Put me in, Don, or something like that. And all of a sudden, he's in. But there were people expecting him to not be back till late December or even January initially. And now all of a sudden, here it's December 5th, he's in there. So, it's certainly going to be a boost, but is he going to be 100%? How fluid is he going to be skating? That's the question. I got to see it before I believe it. And at the same time, I just don't want to go against Detroit right now. They're playing really good hockey at this point in time. But there are a couple bets I like. Pass on the side, but I do like this over. I think this is a 6.5, good over spot. Detroit's been scoring goals lately. We see 5 against Montreal, 5 against Chicago, 4 against Minnesota, 5 against Boston, 4 against Jersey during this 5-1 stretch that they've played. They've had no issue scoring goals. I think they can find the back of the net here. Buffalo obviously has improved offensively with Tage Thompson back. It lengthens their lineup just a little bit. And it is going to be, by the way, Eric Comrie in net, Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen unavailable. Devin Levi called up to back up Eric Comrie. Alex Lyon in net for Detroit. And look, he's playing well again. 2 straight games. He's played extremely well in between 3 straight, in fact. He's given up just 1 goal or 2 goals in the last 3 starts combined. New Jersey, Minnesota, and Chicago. So he's played well. They've won all 3 starts. He's in great form right now. But Detroit is scoring. I do expect a bump offensively for Buffalo. And I'm buying into the series history, which, look at the last 4 meetings since the start of last year. 8-3, 5-4, 6-3, 7-6. I mean, shootouts galore head-to-head between the Red Wings and the Sabres. So I'm going to go over 6.5 here in this game. And I'm also sprinkling on the draw in this game. Another series history play for me with the draw. 6 of the last 10 meetings, Detroit and Buffalo have gone past regulation. So draw and over 6.5 for me. Alex, back with us. Alex, what do you think? Detroit, Buffalo.
Yeah, it's funny. Usually you go with the dog and draw split. I'm going with the chalk and draw split. I got Detroit minus $1.25 earlier today, and I grabbed the draw there as well. Like I said, I think the Wings, like I said, it's a team you don't want to really kind of jump in front of right now. And in a head-to-head battle, I would be more to back the Red Wings than look at Buffalo right now. And it's interesting. Yeah, Levi just got called up. That was after the practice. They had Craig Anderson, who was in town, actually the backup goaltender in practice with Ugo Pekka out with that illness. So this is definitely a game where I might be looking at Buffalo or Detroit team total over 3.5. I was seeing that at even money. You can shop around and find it a little bit higher. Anything at even money or better, I would be taking a shot with that. I wouldn't lay a price with it. Also, would probably be looking at Mike or Eric Comrie goals against over 3.5. You can get that at BetMGM because of the fact, like I said, you look at those situations where the backup, they don't want to really go to a Levi who they had to just kind of bring in unless there's an injury. They're more than likely going to let Comrie get this whole game. So if this becomes a 4 or 5 game goal game for Detroit, Comrie should be seeing and giving up the bulk of those. So that's two ways to attack that team total if you can't find the best price you like for Detroit.
I mean, there's so many different props that stand out for Detroit. Joe Veleno's on the top line. He scored the other night. We're back to an old favorite. Hello, my old friend. I've come to cash with you again. Joe Veleno on the Detroit Red Wings on the top line with Larkin and Raymond tonight. We're going back to our old friend there, Joe Veleno. Remember how many goal props we had with him back in October earlier in the season? So Joe Veleno time once again. Obviously got Robbie Fabry. We've talked about him ad nauseum. And don't sleep on this guy on the fourth line. It's crazy how much this guy scores considering he's on the bottom six. And a lot of times he's on the fourth line for Detroit. That's Sprong, Daniel Sprong for the Detroit Red Wings. He's been absolutely terrific in a depth forward role. 6 goals, 10 assists on the season. 3 points in the last 2 games. Goal and an assist in the win against Montreal on Saturday. So there's no question. Daniel Sprong has been getting the job done for Detroit, even though he doesn't play a ton of minutes and he's on the fourth line most nights. So absolutely liking those props for Detroit here tonight in this game. And then on the Buffalo side, Cousins and Peterka and Benson, if the defensive attention for Derek Lalonde's team and Detroit is going to go toward Skinner, Middlestat, and Tage Thompson, who are expected to be on the top line tonight with Tage back, that could open up opportunity for those three to make an impact because Benson, Cousins, and Peterka all have very good offensive upside. So I think those guys might be worth looks as far as props go. I don't think it's a given that Tage Thompson, just because he's back in the lineup, finds the back of the net. Keep in mind, Tage Thompson, before the injury, only had 6 goals, 6 assists for the Sabres. A very slow start, to the season for him. And now he's coming off a significant injury. So it's not a given he's just going to all of a sudden step right back into the lineup and produce instantly for the Buffalo Sabres. So we'll see how this one goes. Very intriguing game, obviously, though, tonight with Detroit and Buffalo. Alex, your connection just briefly got interrupted when we were talking Sharks and Islanders. So we'll go back to that game. What do you like there?
So I'm looking at the overs, first period and full game live. We should be able to grab plus money with these. We've already seen $1.20 for both the 5.5 and the 1.5. So we could easily possibly even get a 4.5 laying a price with the total if we wait about 5 or 6 minutes. So that's some small approaches I'm taking with that. Don't want the draw, don't want the side, just looking at totals.
Like in the over live first period and full game, I love the 5.5 that we're getting. Again, this is a reputation total. Islanders, long time, good defense, no offense. It's the reverse right now with the Islanders. I'm telling you, it's offense and not as good defense right now from the New York Islanders. And like I said, San Jose's starting to score now. Last 2 road games after not doing anything offensively on the road all year, suddenly 11 goals combined in their last 2 road games. So, like I said, I think 5.5 very cheap for that total in the Sharks Islanders game. All right, let's go to Windy City now. Nashville and Chicago. We've got Nashville minus 180 road favorites, 6 the total here in this one. The Chicago Blackhawks, obviously, 7-16 now on the year, entering this matchup against the Nashville Predators. Nashville, again, been one of the surprises this season with the way they have played. They've obviously played some really, really good hockey, especially of late. Entering this game on a terrific run of 7-2 in their last 9 games. Did have a mini 2-game slide there. Minnesota, the Wild post Dean Evison went in there and beat them 6-1. And then, of course, the Rangers came back to beat Nashville 4-3 on Saturday in Music City. And then on the back-to-back in Buffalo, Nashville bounced back with a 2-1 win over the Sabres. But still 7-2 their last 9 games. They played well. Chicago is not playing well. 2-8 their last 10, 3-game losing streak, all on the road against Detroit, Minnesota, and Winnipeg in their last 3 games. Got to admit, though, pretty tough schedule, right, for Chicago. I mean, Detroit's playing well. Winnipeg at home's been tough. And obviously, Minnesota now just can't be beat anymore, apparently, since John Hines took over as the head coach. So it's been a tough slate, tough sledding for Chicago based on just playing the wrong opponents at the wrong time. That's basically what's happened here. Back home, we'll see how they fare here. I do want to keep in mind, at home, this team has been pretty feisty lately. We look at the Toronto win in overtime on Black Friday. They beat Seattle 4-3 in overtime, their last home game. Definitely we're seeing them show better signs of play at home. Question is, do they have enough in them to beat this Nashville team, a Nashville team that head-to-head 6-1 or 5-1 in the last 6. Let me just get the 6-1, I should say, in the last 7 head-to-head meetings against Chicago. And here in Chicago, Nashville has won each of the last 2 meetings as well. The only win Chicago's had in the last 6 meetings was in Nashville in March of last season. So this one I don't have a whole lot on, really. I was tempted by the draw, ended up staying off. We don't have a lot of draw history with these 2 teams recently. So really not a whole lot here that I'm interested in, side or total, maybe some props. That's about it. What do you think here, Alex? Nashville, Chicago.
Yeah, just keeping it standard with the old Nashville double. I'm going first period over. I grabbed 135 at Caesars, and then I grabbed plus 155 on both teams to score in the first period at BetMGM. Just been rolling with that 19-3 now, the last 22 with Nashville to that first period over. And like I said, Chicago's been feisty at home, and both these teams tend to go back and forth. I expect to see kind of a rougher, kind of more physical game, especially from Chicago, which could lead to some penalties, could lead to some goals Nashville's way. So if you're looking to fade Arvid Soderblom, you can get goals against over 3.5 plus 120 at BetMGM if you're expecting them to have his usual Soderblom kind of a night.
I'm just looking right now for that's funny stuff, John. I got to admit, Ian doesn't have a lot here, only 13 player props. That's good.
That's good.
That's true. I probably will end up having 13 when it's all said and done. Maybe not so much on this game. Maybe the Detroit-Buffalo game. That could be a 13-player prop kind of game for me, but maybe not so much this one. But that first period, both teams to score, I'm in on that. I'm jumping in on that because I just looked it up while Alex was talking here with Chicago. You look at the last 6 games going back to Black Friday against Toronto. The Toronto game on Black Friday at home, both teams found the back of the net first period. St. Louis game at home, both teams found the back of the net first period. Seattle game for Chicago at home, both teams found the back of the net first period. Detroit game on the road, both teams found the back of the net first period. Winnipeg game on the road, both teams found the back of the net first period. The only one that didn't was their last game against Minnesota, where Minnesota had that 2-0 lead after the
and the Hawks had a ton of chances early in that as well. So
there you go. You're basically 5-1 to the first period, both teams to score in the last 6 Chicago games entering tonight. So I actually am going to jump in. And Chicago, I find at home, coming off the road, I could see them maybe surprising Nashville, getting an early goal in the first 20 minutes. And I certainly think they're capable of conceding one in the opening 20 as well to Nashville, who have obviously a big component of their 7-2 run in the last 9 games is the fact that their offense has been in really good form. So that first period, both teams to score, I am going to, I think, maybe jump in on that one there at a really nice plus price there with the Preds and Blackhawks. As far as the player props for this one, I mean, we've talked about, largely the same group that's been getting it done for Nashville. O'Reilly, Forsberg, Nyquist in particular have been great. I'll throw in a couple players, though, down the lineup that I've noticed lately they've been chipping in. Yakov Trenin for Nashville on their third line. He has 3 goals in the last 6 games, 4 points in the last 6 games for the Nashville Predators. There's a sneaky little under-the-radar player to consider here. Yakov Trenin for Nashville, the way he's played lately. And Colton Sissons, back-to-back games with a point, 6 points in the last 9 games for Nashville. There's another one down the lineup that's been getting it done. For Chicago, it didn't work out when he was in the lineup against Winnipeg. He missed the Minnesota game. Luke Richardson's putting him back on the top line tonight in his second game with the Blackhawks. Anthony Beauvillier, we're going to give that a shot again tonight. The goal prop playing with Bedard and Kurashev for Chicago on that top line. So back to the well. We're going to give it a shot with Anthony Beauvillier here to find the back of the net for the Blackhawks, playing with Connor Bedard on the top line in this game tonight. And you can get Beauvillier as high as plus 380 at FanDuel in order to find the back of the net here in this game tonight. All right, Anaheim, Colorado. Avalanche minus 290, home favorites, 6.5 the total. First thing you got to do in this game is you got to check the injury report for Colorado because it's lengthy. This is a rap sheet right now, an absolute rap sheet length that we're dealing with as far as their injury report is concerned. Look at what we got here. Lehkonen and Landeskog, we know long-term they're out. We already knew Sam Girard's away tending to his mental health, which is great to see. Sam Girard for the Avalanche, key defenseman for them. Andrew Cogliano, one of the better fourth line, forechecking, defensive-minded forwards you could ask for. He's still got a lot of gas in the tank at 36 years old. He has a lower body injury. He won't play tonight. And the most important, too, coming into the game tonight is Valeri Nichushkin, Big Val. He's dealing with an illness of some kind, game time decision for Colorado tonight. He didn't take part in the morning skate either. And Cale Makar, who is once again going to miss another game. He missed the LA game on Sunday night. He got injured at the end of the Anaheim game Saturday, the day before. And Cale Makar doubtful with a lower body injury tonight for Colorado. So this is a shorthanded group coming into tonight for the Avalanche here in this game. I'm not laying a price with them. That being said, this is a rapid revenge spot, short turnaround. Colorado lost to Anaheim just recently at Honda Center last weekend. 4-3 shootout win for the Anaheim Ducks, a game where Anaheim came back from a 3-1 deficit after the first period to win that game. So a very, very impressive job by Anaheim, and I'm sure not one that sat well with Colorado, that they lost that game in a shootout against Anaheim after having a 3-1 lead, and then they had to go play LA in a tough spot the very next night, and they ended up losing that game 4-1. So with the injuries and coming back from the road, and I'm not ready to lay minus 290. Do I want to jump in, though, with Anaheim after they just beat Colorado? Colorado's not going to take them lightly tonight, even though they're a little bit depleted, a little bit shorthanded. No. So this is a side I don't really want too much to do with here in this game tonight between these two teams. What I will look at here in this game is probably the over. Probably got to stick with it. 3 straight overs in the head-to-head series. 2 games this year head-to-head. 8-2 Colorado, 4-3 Anaheim. Both of those games going over the total. So that would be the look for me here, would be over 6.5 with Ducks and Avs. Yeah, and I don't hate the idea of maybe an Anaheim team total over. I know John Massey mentioned that in the chat. Ducks team total here in this game, over 2.5. Georgiev, by the way, should be in net for Colorado. It hasn't been confirmed yet. John Gibson will be in net tonight for the Anaheim Ducks in this game. But yeah, I don't mind putting a little bit on that team total. Again, team total over 2.5 at plus money, plus 105 for Anaheim in this game. What do you think here in this one, Alex? Ducks, Avalanche.
Yeah, I just kept it simple. I grabbed the draw at plus 400 at Caesars. We've seen the Ducks and the Avalanche play close games. Like I said, Avalanche, there's just certain teams, Anaheim and Phoenix, necessarily Arizona, those are 2 teams that they always just kind of play close. No matter how good or bad the other team is, the Colorado just never really kind of shows up to their full potential. And they've been kind of having that kind of Toronto kind of feel when you see these big prices at home. So I think this could be a close battle, and I think 400 is a worthy price. I'm sure FanDuel had a higher one, but I grabbed that when I was betting other things at Caesars.
All right, there we go. The draw for Alex in this one with the Ducks and the Avalanche. And look, Colorado, you look at them in particular. 2 of the last 3 games have gone past regulation for the Avalanche. The Arizona game, and then, of course, the Anaheim game the last time they played the Ducks over the weekend. So, the draw definitely not a bad look, especially at the price you're getting, no question about that. One thing I want to point out to everybody, this is a game where if you're going to bet player props, especially on the Colorado side, you're going to see massive shakeups with the lineup here in this game tonight if Nichushkin is out, and obviously Makar is out. And by the way, with Makar out, the defenseman you got to look toward now by far is Devon Toews. No question about that. Devon Toews is going to get more of those minutes, quarterbacking the number 1 power play unit. he becomes the defenseman that is very undervalued, in my opinion, when Cale Makar doesn't play. And you could say Bo Byram as well, especially because Bo Byram, when Makar doesn't play, it seems that he ends up doing a little bit more and tries to do a little bit more and tries to be more aggressive and starts to look for his shot more often than not. And we've seen that. He had the 2-goal game against this very same Anaheim team on Saturday. So those two defensemen, I think, taking a shot with them, Taves and Bo Byram tonight for Colorado. Not bad looks as far as player props or even finding the back of the net potentially tonight for this team, especially if Big Val doesn't go, and we know Cale Makar doubtful to play as well. And again, keep an eye on the forward group, because with Nichushkin out, someone's got to play beside McKinnon and Rantanen. We don't know who that's going to be yet, but if Nichushkin doesn't play, that opens up a spot on that, that vacates a spot on that top line left wing side with McKinnon and Rantanen. And whoever that ends up being, you know what that means. Value, value, value with their props. Whoever takes Big Val Nichushkin's spot on that top line with McKinnon and Rantanen tonight for the Colorado Avalanche. So that's definitely what I've got my eye on. Whoever the fill-in is for Nichushkin, assuming this illness does keep him out of the game tonight, that's what I'm going to target as far as player props. Whoever's going to take that spot on the top line with McKinnon and Rantanen. All right, next up, we've got Minnesota and Calgary. Even money, -110. Both sides, 6 the total here in this game. I mean, for me, I'm on Minnesota. It's just I surrender. I surrender to the Minnesota Wild and to John Hines, even though I don't like the hire at all. I'll surrender for now. They're playing good hockey, no question. You watch Minnesota, and they're buttoned up. They're good in their own end right now. They're, I think, a lot more aggressive offensively. And what I like what they're doing right now is, may not be good for overbettors, but it's good for Minnesota winning games, is when they get leads now, they're shutting it down. They're playing some really, really good defensive hockey when they get a lead. And that's been another impressive thing to see with this Minnesota group. So Minnesota -110. Once they beat Nashville and beat them up in that second game, that's the game I stayed off Minnesota. I'm like, you know what? I don't buy in yet that they're just going to go on this roll with John Hines all of a sudden after the St. Louis win in his debut. But then they trampled Nashville, who was playing really good hockey. I'm like, all right, we'll start riding Nashville until they lose. And that's basically what I've done. I took them on the weekend twice in various. I took team total over against Chicago as opposed to money line against Chicago because the price was so astronomical, and that cashed. They got to 4 in that game. I don't know about the team total here. I'd probably just prefer money line because, like I said, they're shutting it down. They get a few goals ahead, and then they just say, you know what, pump the brakes, play good defense. Everybody a 5-man unit defensively to protect the lead, and that's the way they have been playing. No question since the coaching change and John Hines taking over. And by the way, big news for Calgary as far as their goaltending. Jacob Markstrom's out day-to-day right now, not even available to back up tonight. So Darth Vladar, will be in net tonight for the Calgary Flames, and backing him up, the future in net for Calgary, Dustin Wolf, hungry like the wolf. Dustin Wolf called up from the Wranglers to back up Dan Vladar tonight in this game. Dan Vladar, terrible start to the season, no question, but he has been a little bit better. That last start he had against Vegas, I think, was one of his best starts. Very, very good. 1 goal allowed, a 2-1 win they had in overtime against the Golden Knights. Probably the best start Dan Vladar has had this season. We'll see if he can build on that. Nevertheless, Minnesota's been rolling, been riding it. We're going to ride it until they lose. So Minnesota for me at -110. Alex, Wild Flames.
Yeah, so I took a unit and cut it into 4 pieces and basically got these 4 bets. I have the Wild -$1.10. I have Wild and Flames first period over 1.5. I grabbed 135 at Caesars. I'm seeing 140s and 145, so that's something I'd probably wait and grab in game now if you can't grab $1.35 or better. I got both teams to score in the first period at +155, and definitely shop around. Your best bets are going to be FanDuel with this, but the draw, 370 compared to when I was looking at BetMGM +290. So that is a massive difference. So we stress this often. Like I said, we don't get paid to do this, but we stress it often because it's the best value we find every night. FanDuel, if you're betting these regulation draws, that's the best book to get right now, because to see I don't think I've seen an 80-cent discrepancy between books before. Certainly within domestic books. Offshore, maybe you might see something that far, but that's definitely something you want to grab. So 370 on the draw with Wild and Flames, along with the Wild side minus $1.10. First period over 1.5 minus $1.35. Both teams to score in the first at plus 155.
There you go. So 4 different bets on this one game for Alex. Wild money line, Wild Flames over 1.5 first period, Wild Flames, both teams to score first period, and the draw. And you're right, FanDuel has given out early Christmas gifts to everyone. The gift of a much better price for draw bets compared to everyone else. I mean, it's just, and it's every single day. But that's especially a massive discrepancy, them compared to other books as far as this draw with Minnesota and Calgary. And yeah, I could see this being a close game for sure with the Wild and the Flames. The Wild probably win, but this will be probably a little bit more tougher for them than some of their recent games, although they've been winning convincingly. You know, they've outscored since the coaching change. The cumulative score for Minnesota is 13-3 over their opposition in the last 3 games: St. Louis, Nashville, and Chicago. That being said, Calgary, you know, will be a little bit tougher than those 3 teams. So 13-3 though for Minnesota in the 3 games since the coaching change. And another thing I've noticed too about Minnesota, since the coaching change, they've scored the first goal in every game. Every game, Minnesota scored the first. So if you're a first goal prop better, maybe you'd take that tonight, Minnesota, to get the first goal.
Plus 115 at BetMGM to score the first goal. So that may be something worth sprinkling on. And as I mentioned earlier in the show, Bet Online will be getting the next the score props back again starting tomorrow. So look for that on Wednesday.
To be honest with you, I think that's almost as good a bet as Minnesota money line in this game, is maybe that first goal. Yeah. Minnesota at plus 115, because that has been, they've come out ready to play, dialed in, you know, attention to detail, and scoring the first goal. They've done it in all 3 games so far, Minnesota, since the coaching change. As far as player props in this game, Marco Rossi, man, continues to impress. He gets 2 goals in the win against Chicago on Sunday. He's got 3 points in the last 2 games, is now going back onto his last 8 games. He has 7 points for the Minnesota Wild. So Marco Rossi, absolutely. Yeah, it's week to week. Thank you, Goose, for Markstrom, week to week with his injury. So we're going to see Vladar and Wolf for a while in that. But yeah, Marco Rossi is the obvious choice for me as far as prop for the Minnesota Wild. But as usual with the coaching change, we often see players that were struggling, players that, you know, were underachieving before the change was made. They start to get it rolling a little bit. And when you look at Minnesota, you know, there's a couple players that stand out in that regard. One is Matt Zuccarello, who has 5 points for the Wild in 3 games since the coaching change. And Matt Boldy, since the coaching change, has 2 goals in 3 games for the Wild. So Boldy and Zuccarello and Rossi, probably my 3 favorite Minnesota player props in this game. For Calgary, you know, their lineup has been mostly consistent lately. One of these days, Igor Sharangovich is going to score. He's got to. He's had so many chances, so many opportunities with Lindholm and Mangiapane. So I say keep going to the well with that one. Connor Zary, same thing. And here's a little undervalued player prop booster tonight. Great value. Walker Duehr for the Calgary Flames. Walker Duehr is up on the second line tonight for the Flames, playing alongside Nazem Kadri and Connor Zary. This is one of the hardest working forwards on this Calgary team. He's been out for the last 5 games for the Calgary Flames, entering this one. He's back in the lineup. And Ryan Huska, the twin of Pierre Maguire, as I call him, he's got him on the second line tonight, playing with Kadri and with Zary. So I'll bump up the lineup for Walker Duehr. That is definitely worth a sprinkle tonight, considering his position in the lineup, playing in the top 6. Definitely great value for him. And I'm just looking it up right now. Goal prop plus 950 at Betano, 850 at DraftKings, 750 at Caesars, 525 at Bet Rivers. Like, you can get some huge prices for a guy that's going to be playing in the top 6 tonight for the Calgary Flames. So definitely good value there, no question. All right, the final game of this Tuesday night NHL card. Maybe the best game on paper tonight in the NHL. The New Jersey Devils and the Vancouver Canucks. This is the Hughes Bowl, as I'd like to. We're in bowl season, right? College football is right around the corner. This is the Hughes Bowl. Not 1, not even 2, 3 fucking Hughes brothers playing in the same damn game. This is going to be fun. This is something that, like, enjoy the moment and how cool and awesome this is. To me, this is a hockey purist, a hockey fan for 30 plus years. It's just really wonderful, awesome, cool, whatever words you want to use, to see three brothers playing in the same game. And it's not just three brothers that are fourth line muggers and fourth line pluggers. These are three brothers that are potentially going to have outstanding careers. There's a chance that 1, 2, hell, I wouldn't even totally rule out Altman. These are grandiose expectations, but I wouldn't totally rule out that all three of them may not find themselves in the Hockey Hall of Fame one day. Like, if they have the kind of careers that they're capable of, it is just going to be a lot of fun here to watch this game tonight with all three Hughes brothers in action. Of course, Jack and Luke Hughes for New Jersey and Quinn Hughes for Vancouver. So it's going to be a lot of fun. Now, the obvious player prop, we'll just jump right to that first, is, do you just load up on the Hughes brothers props tonight? Everything you can think of, shots on goal, assist, point props, everything you can think of going into this game. It's going to be it's something you got to think of in the back of your mind. Doesn't all three of these guys want to play great tonight? They know that the other two siblings are there on the ice, and you want to put your best foot forward, no question. So maybe you do some Hughes brothers same game parlays here tonight. You do some shots on goal, you do some goal props, assist props, point props, you name it. They're all going to want to ball out tonight, to steal a basketball term, in this game. All three of them, knowing they're all going to be on the ice together in the same game. So it's going to be a lot of fun to watch. As for the game itself, New Jersey, man, that's a bad look, losing like they did against San Jose. There's no question. 6-3 on Friday. The good news is they haven't played since Friday, so they've been off 3 days. They've had an opportunity to get out west, just to the body clock, to the Pacific time zone. So that's good, is that they've had extended time to get ready for this road trip here in Western Canada starting tonight. 6-4 on the road. Vancouver, though, 8-3 at home. Really good home record, but we have seen some issues lately with Vancouver playing against teams that are supposed to be pretty good. We have seen it. They lose to Colorado, this Vancouver team recently. They lose to Vegas 4-1 at home earlier this week. The thing is, though, I don't know if New Jersey's playing at that great level that maybe a Vegas is, especially. I'm not so sure about that. Now, they had won 3 in a row since they got Nico Hischier and Jack Hughes back together again. And they've been scoring goals in bunches for sure. 7-2 against Buffalo, 5-4 against the Islanders, 4-3 against the Flyers. But that Flyers win, they got outplayed. They probably should have lost that game. And then they had a 6-3 loss to San Jose, where they actually had 47 shots. But at the same time, everything they gave up, they only gave up 17 shots. But as John Massey has alluded to, and I agree with him fully, they don't need to give up many shots to give up a lot of goals right now, New Jersey. Their defensive game has been a mess. Their defensive game has been a problem. And now without, Dougie Hamilton on the blue line, and not just him now, it's Brendan Smith. And Brendan Smith is one of the few guys on their blue line that's going to knock someone on their keister. He's going to clear the front of the net. He's going to be physical. He's going to actually, block a shot or two. You miss that without Brendan Smith. Brendan Smith's a very valuable, useful defenseman in his role, because they don't have enough of those kind of guys right now on the Devil blue line. So to miss Brendan Smith is significant, and I think it makes them worse on the back end, heading into this game tonight against the Vancouver Canucks. So you look at the shifting and the adjustments that are going to be made with their D pairs. It's Siegenthaler and Simon Nemec on the top pair, Kevin Ball, John Marino on the second pair, Luke Hughes and Colin Miller on the third pair. So I don't know. It's not what I want to see going into Vancouver, playing a pretty good Canucks team going into this game. So the bet that I've made is over 3.5 with Vancouver's team total here in this game. That's the way I'm approaching it rather than the money line. I do lean Vancouver, but I like the team total a little bit more, just for a little more bang for our buck in this game. There's a good chance, too, when Vancouver, especially playing at home, are they really going to win a game where they scored less than 4 goals? I'm not so sure that's the case. So for me, over 3.5, you get it at plus 104 here at Pinnacle. Like that team total a little bit here on the Canucks. And like I said, as far as the props, definitely going to have some fun here and do a little combination same game parlay, maybe some straight props as well with just Jack, Luke, and Quinn individually, and maybe throw them in a little same game parlay. Just a nice little assortment. Shots on goal, goal prop, assist prop, point props, you name it. In fact, what I'll do is I'll do some shots on goal props on their own with the 3, goal props or point props on their own with the 3, and then of course the goal props, a little bit more, not as high in expectation, if you will, that they score, especially because 2 of them are defensemen, Quinn and Luke. But still, I would sprinkle just ever so slightly on the 3 of them each to find the back of the net here tonight. What do you think here, Alex? As I call it, the Hughes Bowl, New Jersey, Vancouver.
Yeah, that's one thing I will be targeting. I actually just bet that already at Bet Online. I got plus 263. I got each brother to get a point. So just 1 point, because you can't parlay that at a lot of books. And if you do, you're seeing over 1.5 points with Quinn Hughes and Jack Hughes. So you're getting obviously the best of the prices you'll be getting on Luke compared to all 3 of them. So that's something to keep in mind when you're trying to mix and match with some of those parlays. I also like over at BetMGM, both teams to score 2 goals and the Canucks to win the game. That's a parlay you can grab at plus 260. Like you said, it's going to be, I think, a high back and forth kind of a game. But I think the Canucks find a way to win here, and that's the best values. Like I said, this is a game I'm kind of having a little more fun with. Not full units. These are just kind of small shots at the end of the night. But all 3 Hughes brothers to get a point parlayed, and then both teams to score 2 goals parlayed with the Canucks winning at plus 260. So both prices around plus 260 with that.
Absolutely. I will be jumping on a live over. I might even sprinkle on first period, both teams to score here in this game, but I'll definitely be looking. I'm waiting for the over for a better number, because there's 7s out there right now with this total. Not every book is at 6.5. Some are at 7. So no way am I betting it pregame. I'm going to wait for something live.
Yeah, if you're looking at anything totals wise, with especially first period related, you have to go with first period, both teams score. And even then, I didn't like that price, plus 130. It's fine. If you're looking totals, that's something to grab pregame, but I'd like the other props a little bit more.
No doubt. And you know what's great too is Bet365 has got milestone player props. It is something they've had for a very long time in hockey or in football, in basketball, the other sports, where they have the main prop for, let's say, NBA. LeBron's over 28.5 points. Well, with the milestone player props at Bet365, there's 30 plus points, 35 plus points, 40 plus points, and you can get really big plus numbers on, say, LeBron James to score that many points in a basketball game. They've now offered those kind of props, milestone player props for hockey as well, for shots on goal, and points in particular. Look at point milestones tonight, for instance. There's Luke Hughes. You could go 1 point plus 120, 2 plus points plus 750, 3 plus points for Luke Hughes, 14-1. Jack Hughes, 2 points plus 130, 3 points plus 525, 4 points plus 1150. And then Quinn Hughes, 2 points plus 175, 3 points plus 700. So you could bet them individually. They're great prices on their own. But if you really want to go for like a lottery ticket sort of deal, put a Jack Hughes, 2 plus points. Luke Hughes, maybe 1 point with him, just be a little bit safer with Luke potentially. But you could go Jack Hughes, 2 points, Luke Hughes, 1 point, Quinn Hughes, 2 points. Put those 3 in a same game parlay, and you're going to get quite the price back with that here in this game tonight. In fact, let me see if I can just put that into the old rotation here on our Bet365 account and see what kind of payout we can get, with these particular props. All right, let me put this one together right now, live for you here on air. Jack Hughes, 2 or more points. Luke Hughes, 1 or more point. And Quinn Hughes, 2 plus points. All right, put those all together. Oh, shit. I got to put it in the same game parlay tab. My bad. Okay, here we go. All right, player milestones. There we go. Points. Here we go. Jack Hughes, 2 plus. Luke Hughes, 1 plus. There we go. And Quinn Hughes, 2 plus. 10-1, plus 1,000. And it's reasonable. That to me is reasonable. Quinn Hughes has had 2-point games a ton this season. Jack Hughes, obviously, he's had a ton of 2-point games. That's not asking them to just go nuts. That's asking them to do something that they have been able to do quite a bit. this season. Get 2 points. Quinn and Jack in particular. And then Luke Hughes, 1 point, just a little more conservative with him because he doesn't have the point numbers that say his other brothers, Jack Hughes and Quinn Hughes, do. So Jack Hughes, 2 or more points. Luke Hughes, 1 point. Quinn Hughes, 2 or more points. Same game parlay, 10-1 plus 1,000. So I will put something on that. That's reasonable expectations. The goal parlay you can do, yeah, definitely. So why not have a little bit of fun here? Because I guarantee you, whether they get the production tonight or not, they're going to be fucking motivated and amped up to do it, play well and make an impact and make a statement and get on the score sheet. So should be a fun one. Looking forward to the Devils Canucks tonight, the Hughes Bowl, to wrap up the Tuesday night slate. Great show. Thanks to everyone for joining us. Hit the like button on the way out. 228 live viewers. Patreon.com/Ice Guys, just $10 a month. All the content there. Unfortunately, the sale's over, the Ice Guys store, but that doesn't mean you can still buy your Christmas merch. Get someone something for the holidays. The Ice Guys store, iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
Absolutely. Definitely don't want to miss out on that. Like I said, even though the sale has ended, but you can still have at least another 3 or 4 days remaining to order any items, get it sent to you standard shipping, and have it delivered in time, for the holidays. But you got to move fast with that because, like I said, time is moving on. We're 20 days away from Christmas. So don't delay, act now. Check it out right now, iceguys.myspreadshop.com.
All right, good stuff indeed. All right, it is time for Bargain Bin Special of the night. Alex, anything in the bargain bin for you on this Tuesday?
I do. I was between 2 different games, and now that we kind of talked about it with that Wild and Calgary game, we talked about how, looking at how the Wild have been getting off the hot starts, looking for that first goal of the game, especially going up against Calgary, even though it's not Jacob Markstrom, the guy we'd love to go let in the first couple of shots in. It's Dan Vladar. But I'm looking in that same direction. I'm going Kirill Kaprizov to score the first goal of the game in Minnesota-Calgary, plus 1,100 at FanDuel. We got lucky with a couple of these last year. We got with some of the first goal and last goal props. We're going to take a shot here with Kirill Kaprizov to get the first goal of the game for the Wild, plus 1,100 at FanDuel. My bargain bin special.
There we go. And I remember a Leon Draisaitl first goal that Alex took earlier this year. This is Kirill Kaprizov, first goal of the game for the Minnesota Wild at plus 1,100. So heck of a price there looking at Kirill Kaprizov to get the first goal of the game tonight for the Minnesota Wild. All right, my bargain bin special of the night. I'm going to go back to that one I mentioned earlier, and Joe Veleno's definitely on the radar too. That was definitely under consideration as well, but it's not Joe Veleno. I like Joe Veleno, and it will be a bet of mine for sure, but I didn't go with him for a bargain bin. I ended up going with back to Nashville, Chicago with Beauvillier tonight. Top line with Bedard. Chicago's been scoring a few more goals lately, plus 380 at FanDuel for him to find the back of the net. And again, you're playing with, top line. You're going to get the opportunity. You're going to get the minutes. I really think they want to see what Anthony Beauvillier can give them, in a featured role, playing not only in the top 6, but in this case, the top line for the Chicago Blackhawks. So a lot of good choices, though. Sharon Govich, Eric Howla might be on the top line tonight for New Jersey, apparently, too. I forgot to mention that about the Devils game. He might be up there with Jack Hughes and Toffoli. So if he's up there, he might be a good value prop, bargain bin type deal for him. But I'm going to go with Anthony Beauvillier here tonight, Chicago, plus 380 for my bargain bin special of the night. All right, best bets to wrap it up for this Tuesday. Alex, what do you like for best bet?
Yeah, we'll head to 1901 West Madison in Chicago. Nashville going up against the Blackhawks. We're going with both teams to score in the first period, plus 155. Of course, Nashville has been on a hot first period overrun, 19-3 the last 22. But as Ian highlighted, 5-1 to both teams to score in the first period with the Chicago Blackhawks in their last 6 games. So expecting a goal each between the Preds and Hawks. Give me both teams to score in the first period, plus 155 at BetMGM. That's my best bet.
All right, there you go. Nashville, Chicago. Both teams to score in the first period for best bet. And again, 5-1 first period, both teams to score in the last 6 Chicago games. My best bet, this total is reputation, not reality. 5.5 made sense last year, 2 years ago, 3 years ago in a Sharks Islanders game. It doesn't make sense in my opinion right now. Islanders are scoring. They're not the same defensively, and we have seen the Sharks wake up offensively in the last 2 games. This number is cheap. Sharks Islanders over 5.5 minus 120 for my best bet for this Tuesday card. That'll wrap up this edition of the Ice Guys. Thanks to everyone for joining us. Hit the like button on the way out. We appreciate it. And a reminder, Betcast 1 week from tonight, December the 12th. Looking forward to it. Reminder, the Ice Guys is live 7 days a week. And if you can't watch the show live, download the Ice Guys podcast in audio form on all major podcast platforms. For Alex B. Smith, I'm Ian Cameron. Have a great Tuesday night. Enjoy the games and good luck. And we will be back with you again tomorrow on Wednesday for another edition of the Ice Guys.